Good morning and welcome in on this Tuesday edition. That's what it looked like Lloyd was doing. I wish you could see the production aspect of setting up the intro to the show. You know, Lloyd usually shoots a little finger gun. Hey, ready to start.
Yeah.
He really built it up this morning, I tell you.
You got to hold that sumbitch up there and get them going, boys.
Really kept it rocking. Brian Burgess starting it off this morning. Happy, thoughtful Tuesday. Today, choose joy and remember that your happiness isn't dependent on circumstances, but on the way you choose to perceive and respond to them.
It's a Tuesday, not a Tuesday.
Tuesday. Thank you, Brian, for your beautiful message this morning. I pray you are all having an awesome and blessed morning. Same to you, Brian. But welcome in here as we are built and brought to you by R&B Builders. Rhett and his crew, they do excellent work here in the Baton Rouge area, and they did, I've seen them do work countless times. It looks great. The social media really shows off their expertise and the way they knock things out for their homeowners, whether it's residential, commercial, all the above. Get in touch with them. Obviously, the phone line is brought to you by Southern Regional Medical Center. Today, we'll have Coach John Brady at 8 a.m. previewing the LSU basketball game at 8 p.m. As the Tigers take on Tennessee in the PMAC. The number 6 Volunteers come to Baton Rouge. Coach Brady will preview that and even talk about the game against Florida this weekend. There's R&B's website. Great stuff. Build, buy, remodel. But beautiful, beautiful network. And then obviously we are part of the G Squad. Christian, you know the deal. Put the hat on. Gordon McKernan, Louisiana's big truck injury lawyer, 888-8888. Get Gordon, get it done. Go to the website, getgordon.com. Jarvis. Louisiana's NIL king, not just LSU, but state universities all around the state. There it is, 888-8888. Get Gordon, get it done. How are we feeling this morning, fellas? What's the energy? What are the vibes? I'm still trying to recover from this cold. I was listening to one of the social media videos that Sam had put out on the Twitter page, and I was listening to myself, and I was like, ugh, that sound awful.
You just got to kick it, dude.
I'm trying.
Not the best profession to be in when you're sick.
It's not. It's not. So
you really can't run from it.
Back in the day, whenever I wasn't hosting, it was like, okay, well, I can just
put baby in the corner.
Yeah, I can just be quiet. Not anymore. You have to listen to this nasally, congested, nasty voice for 2 hours every morning. So I'm trying to shake it, guys. I promise.
Yeah, he just found out about tea, so he's on a tea kick. But
yes. I threw it away already.
Yeah, he doesn't like it, so he just keeps putting more and more sugar in it, which is probably not the best way to recover from anything.
Nope.
But it does make it taste better.
Yeah, last week I brought the tea in, and it was disgusting.
I told you, just put a little sugar. But I am more a fan of salt, because I'm a little salty today.
Okay.
I think we saw what happened last night. While if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to hear it, but also if nobody cares who's cutting it down, are we really all that upset? And turns out we have some snitches on the internet streets that ruined a really good thing that happened and infected a lot of people that make people happy. And instead, you got to ruin it because you're a little bitch. And that was not great for the internet, Bob. But it turns out when you use a bitch, you find out real quick. And the internet got the mob. The mob got them. Posts were deleted. Posts were made. Posts were deleted.
Amen.
They ran scared, as they should. And if I know anything about my guy, it's not forever. It's just for now. We'll be back. We'll be back.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was surprised to see that on the Twitter sphere last night. To me, why? To be an account, a person, a fan base that stresses so much about not being little brother, hating the idea of being little brother, not wanting to be called little brother, all these different things. Because to me, I don't really care. Like, I'm not a UL, whatever you want to call it. I'm not it's ULL. You don't want to call it UL. I don't care. It's not that big of a deal. And so to be so stressed about being called little brother and treated like a little brother, we just pulled a classic from somebody with a little brother. You just pulled a little brother move where you said, hey, you have something cool going on over there. What if I tell mom?
Right.
What if I run to Dad and let him know?
And you did.
And they did, and nothing really happened because Big Brother's way cooler. And it was just, I didn't understand really the thought behind it. Like, it completely cancels out everything you're trying to do. Hello at YouTube creators. There's an ongoing stream that violates your terms and conditions. Then they name drop. I'm sure the fine folks at SEC Network wouldn't appreciate this illegal behavior. Like, I get it. I mean, I'm not saying what's going on is right, but boom, deleted. I don't even know how long it was up. The first post, the original post, was up for like maybe 8 minutes.
So
it disappeared quick.
The troops were rallied because me and a couple of fellas, this is how we survive. And somebody that I haven't talked to in a minute, last time someone was at a bachelor party, and he goes, buddy, 9:47 p.m., it's time for war. Last text we send, tweet deleted 11:36, I love a good internet mob. And I was like, yeah, we rallied the troops pretty quickly around that one because, like I said, for all, like, I like you all. Oh, fan of the people,
whatever
love the city. But this little group that they have over there is what's wrong with it. And there's so many responses to this thing of, like, even for ULF, like, this is not who we are. This is not what we want to do. It's a crazy, embarrassing move. And if you wanted attention, you got it, but it's none of the attention that you wanted. This is not how you probably – because that account has always been contentious with LSU and LSU fans, and that's their shtick. I get it. But this guy was helping y'all too. It's just a way to promote the sport and watch the games. God forbid it's free.
There wasn't anything that even, like, caused – like, that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, okay, what happened?
They just,
like, I'm trying to sift through to see.
You know why they did this? It's because the tournament that's coming up for LSU baseball. The perfect time to drop a bomb, is to make sure nobody could watch it. So because they're not in the tournament, they were in the tournament last year, and so they're sour grapes. So now if they can't have it, nobody can have it.
Right.
Classic little brother.
And I'm not saying that it's right to be illegally streaming or whatever, but just leave it.
We're bothering anyone.
It's not hurting you at all. I mean, you saw the numbers on even the screenshot they posted. It was like 5,000 people watching live.
Yeah, he doesn't even monetize it.
Like, it was almost a flex for LSU by saying, look, LSU's such a popular baseball program. They still got 5,000 people watching on YouTube.
Yeah, it's just an easy way to watch the game.
It was very shocking to me to see it even happen. Everybody asking, what are we talking about? There was a Ragin' Cajun Twitter account that called out Podna, who, if you don't know, helps the fellas and the LSU fans out by allowing to watch events on YouTube, like baseball and things like that. And they decided to out him. Lloyd showed the tweet earlier. They decided to out him. It's not the biggest deal, but it was just it was so stupid.
Let a sleeping dog lie.
Yeah, like, he's not hurting anybody. If the SEC Network found it or YouTube found it themselves, fine. Like, we get it. It's wrong. If he got caught, he gets caught.
So
but this was the first one.
Right. And so
if you're asking what are we talking about, here it is right here.
I still don't understand what TSAB is, but I see it a lot.
The school across the basin, I think.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Pretty sure that's what it is. Yeah.
So all of these folks, a 3-hour phone call. Good for you, man. I'm sure y'all are talking about this all night. So yeah, that's what it was. Like, obviously everybody, it's a if you know type deal, and it feels like everybody knows. I'm not going to be the one to out them, even though they're out, but it will be back. And so keep going to YouTube for all your streaming services. If I have to do it, I will. I'll pick up the mantle. I've got plenty of RTMP codes. I've got plenty of URL streams. I can sit here at this desk and do it myself if I goddamn well please. But it's not my business. I'm not trying to take that man's territory.
No. And Fidget
he
in the
needs
chat,
me, I'm here.
Right. And Fidget in the chat said it's all about the chat room, though. I agree, because I am somebody that has the services to watch it. Like, if it's SC Network, if it's ESPN Plus, whatever, I can put it on the TV and stream it. But I enjoy having the chat pulled up and watching the game with 5,000 other people.
Fidget, the chat is deplorable in there.
I enjoy it. Like, I have it pulled up while I'm watching.
It's close to like a mess streams chat.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's not that bad, but it's aggressive. But I mean, I was in it yesterday while I was doing mic'd up, and I had to go check out the baseball game because it's part of the job. And I hopped in there as the mic'd up account on YouTube.
Of course.
And some guy, Randall, out from the clouds goes mic'd up. We're like washed up. And I was like, this isn't even Mikey. This is me. And he's like, don't care. Like, okay, buddy, have a great day. But yeah, and then it was LSU baseball stinks for the first inning as they got the bases loaded. Like, bet they pop out again. Bet they don't. But
that is additional entertainment for me as I'm watching it, is just to watch the emotions of the fan base go through. But, Lloyd, what were your thoughts on the game yesterday and the way it played out for LSU against Nicholls?
Obviously, I do. Interesting to see Will Schmidt get the start. I'm sure that will lead a lot of this conversation as you now, I guess, have some information as to why Gavin Guidry has not been pitching.
Yes.
Turns out he has a mid-section injury. I don't know how long this will last. I don't know how long he's had it. But that starts to bring a little bit of light to why Gavin Guidry has not pitched, as we thought we would see him. He did ramp up, he said, for the game that was postponed. He was throwing as if he was going to start. That was the word on the street. Then you haven't seen anything since. So maybe he hurt himself in the warm-up. Regardless, you see the freshman get his first start, quote-unquote. I would say midweek start. And did not disappoint. You got to see everything that, obviously, you could say he struggled in the first inning. I wouldn't think so. I think that's a little bit of nerves, little jitters. Gets that out of there. You can still see the fastball plays, curveball, everything that you thought he was, he is. And LSU was able to settle in. And once they got going at the dish, and it was a Bear Jones home run that kind of sent everybody into, okay, LSU baseball's back. Because that ball was absolutely tattooed to left field where Rodney Rance on the call goes, oh, God. And that's what it was. It wasn't the farthest home run, but it got out in a hurry, and it looked picture perfect. So to see Bear Jones get back on track with the home run, you see Milam is maybe the hottest hitter in the country. I think he was 6 for 6 going back to Game 3 against Omaha. He finally got retired, but it was on an absolute screaming line drive to center field. So you see Milam kind of get back into form. Interesting to see Tanner Reeves get the start at third over Broswell.
Yes, we talked about that a little bit yesterday morning.
Yes, and I thought that this could happen just because of, as I said, whenever he hit 400 at Blinn Community College for 2 years in a row, that's kind of hard to hide. You can't do that on accident. So if there was one position on the infield where you haven't really been getting the production that you maybe wanted, it had been at third base, but the experiment was short-lived as he almost makes a fielding error, then I guess he did make a fielding error and almost compounded with a throwing error, a little choppy over there at third, and then wasn't as productive at the plate either. So you saw Broswell come back in the fifth, and I think they'll continue. Yeah, they'll continue to tinker with that, but I think Broswell should feel safe as of now. But there was no doubt in my mind that was all nerves from Reeves, like getting your first start at LSU after you worked to. And Jay said he was supposed to be on the team last year. I don't know what happened, but to see him obviously wait and bide his time and go back to junior college, then come to LSU, I'm sure yesterday was a huge deal for him. And so baseball will find you no matter what. If you haven't played in a month and they throw you out there and you're trying to hide in right field, it'll be the first ball will be hit to you. So it knows where the tightness is.
Yes.
And obviously ball right at him, knocks it down, potential double play, tries to make the throw to first. If he doesn't have Bear Jones over there, it probably sails even higher. And he might have a throwing error as well. But that's just something to monitor, as I do think Tanner Reeves can hit, and that's what Coach Jay loves, as somebody that can swing the stick. And you had him batting leadoff, which Jay has done, like, for new guys, like, quite a bit. Whenever you come in as a freshman, or like Paxton Kling came in, freshman, and, like, let's lead him off. It's like, I would imagine that's not, to throw him in the deep end and see what happens. And Kling unofficially leads the country in home runs.
Right, no, I saw.
Just he's
been crushing baseball.
Cling on, baby. Cling on. Cuts his hair, goes back home to Penn State and starts murdering baseballs.
Must be something in the air.
I think he had a good bit of pressure on him as he was tabbed the next Dylan Cruz. And I got to go home. And so it's good to see him performing well. It's just
Would have been nice to see it in purple.
Yeah, it would have been nice because you saw all of the traits.
Yes.
He could fly. But this guy that's hitting 5 home runs in 4 games, it was a de facto pinch runner at LSU.
Right.
And it's like, put Kling in to run. And so it's good to see him find his form and be able to hopefully continue a career in baseball, because it did not seem like it was trending that way at LSU.
No.
But now he goes closer to home and he looks very comfortable at Penn State, where I'm sure they don't even know they have a baseball team up there. So as opposed to LSU, where you're tabbed the next Dylan Cruz and you're placed starting center field and bat leadoff, and everybody knows who you are.
Right.
And so I'm sure this has been a little bit easier transition. It's good to see him playing well.
William Schmidt's line, 4 2/3, gives up 5 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Obviously, they were getting a hold of the fastball early. He had a nice response in the first inning. I thought it was a good opportunity and a good look at him because, one, you saw why he's such a special talent. I mean, that fastball, what they said, Messina in the chat, that ball explodes out of his hand.
Yeah, it just looks different.
I mean, it looks different coming out of his hand. Now, credit to Nicholls for being on top of it and being prepared.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Nicholls, you have to know that that's what's coming.
Right.
Like, you have to be able to sit fastball, and he's a freshman. He's going to be nervous, and you go hunt. You go hunt strikes, and you swing early and you swing often, and then don't let him get comfortable. And that's what they did. Right. They applied pressure on him, and there was I think they left, 2-1 in the first, Nicholls. And it was a good pressure play to just kind of attack, and see if he can get out of it, because it was dicey for a second. But once he settled in, like, what was his pitch count at the end of the day?
Let's see.
He threw 60 pitches. I think he probably threw 20 in the first inning, or 25. Like, it was.
Yeah, he definitely
had to battle.
He reined it in a good bit after that as well, but he had to fight through that start, which I think he will be better for, and LSU will be better for. Like, that's why you give him the nod now. Work through that, get it out the way. Your first start in the box against another state school.
We're fighting a war on 2 fronts.
Right, and you made it happen. He got through it. I think we had 1 earned run. It was a good performance, and to me, you were really just able to see why he's special. I mean, he's got 3 pitches that are just so good, like not even solid, like the fastball and that curveball.
2+ pitches, and he has
and he's got that change.
Yeah, he's got to change up that, so you can't sit on one or the other. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was kind of hoping to see him against Dallas Baptist. But I guess the Guidry news, which I think everybody expected Guidry to start yesterday.
Yes.
And you don't see him start, and now you don't know when you'll see him again. But that's what I saw from William Schmidt is why I wanted to see him in kind of the big show.
Right.
In the big league ballpark against Dallas Baptist, probably your biggest game to date. I don't know who they're going to throw. You saw Primo come in, and Jesus, your boy, wheels were a little shaky.
Yep.
2 walks, 1 inning of work, gets a strikeout, faced 6 guys, 23 pitches, got out of it with, I think, gave up a run, but it was unearned on his end. That was Schmidt's leftovers. And then Newt goes 2/3, and Rizzi, Jesus, goes 2/3. And you can see Jaden Newt has a little bit of a funky delivery, but it's effective, and Rizzi is going to be a star.
An absolute star. I mean, those 4 freshmen, it's Rizzi, it's Evans, Schmidt, and Cooper Williams.
Yes.
All 4 of those guys are.
Yep. And you saw it from Cooper Williams the last time he came out. It was in LSU's loss, but he was the one that steadied the ship.
Yes.
Where you couldn't buy an out. You were hitting people in the head. You were throwing in center field. And then Cooper Williams comes in and steadies the ship and gives you the opportunity to make the comeback and only get downed by a run. So
no, all 4 of those guys are not only are they going to be huge for LSU, in the future because they're freshmen. This season, they're all going to be massive contributors to whoever far LSU goes because they're special. They're definitely special. Messina in the chat says Woods tomorrow. Lloyd.
I'm currently going through the roster to see who they could possibly throw. I could see Cade Woods going. Obviously, what about Zach Cowan?
Yep. He was obviously a starter at Wofford.
Yes.
And so he's got the experience. What day did he pitch?
That's what I'm looking up.
This weekend? Because he did pitch this week. I think he came in after Shores.
Yeah, he threw 2 innings with 3 strikeouts, 6 guys faced on 222. So that would be going on 4 days rest, and he only threw 2. He threw 2 innings, so that would be a total of. He threw 30 pitches.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that would be not a workload. He's not.
No, I think it'd be fine.
Yeah, so I wouldn't, and it might be they might throw a gaggle of pitchers at you, but I would like. I mean, I only bring up Cowan's name because he's done it before. He's been a starter. He was a Friday night guy at Wofford. And so to see him pitch at LSU kind of makes sense to see him in that role. And that's why this is a great test for LSU and their depth, because this is a stretch not unlike that you would see in the SEC tournament or in Omaha, where I'm not talking about the amount of talent, but I'm talking about the days in between and how many days you get off and how often you have to play. And it's a real testament to see how deep you are. And this is a great spot for LSU to be in, because if they want to be there at the end of the year, you've seen this happen where you start looking down the bench and you go,
yeah,
well,
right.
You want to pitch again?
No, I mean, and this is why, I talked about, I think at the end of last week, this stretch is going to be so important. Like, it's going to be one of these stretches where at the end of the season in the SEC tournament or in, once they get into the NCAA tournament, you look back and you say, like, this is a stretch of baseball that really helped LSU kind of figure out what they had. Because you're going from a weekend series, Friday, Saturday, you get Sunday off, you play again Monday, you get Tuesday off, you're back at it Wednesday, Thursday off, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's a lot of baseball in not a lot of days. You get, I think, 3 days off total. And so that's 7 games in 10 days, if I'm not incorrect in my math. That's a lot of baseball to play. And it's a stretch where you can learn a lot about your baseball team, and that's what Jay Johnson's doing. He gives Schmidt the start last night, kind of see what he's got, let him work through some of the roll with the punches and things like that. Guidry, I think somebody in the chat asked about Guidry. William Gregg asked any rumblings on why. Like we said, Guidry has a non-throwing kind of a midsection injury. I think they said he woke up on Thursday last week, not feeling well, working through that. Jay said he expects him to be back at some point next week. So Gavin Guidry will be seen. He will get to pitch, but he's working through a little health deal right now before he's able to get back on the bump. But I thought all in all, you saw some good things from LSU yesterday. The biggest concern coming off of that loss on Saturday was runners in scoring position and leaving them stranded. And I thought LSU did a much better job at swinging the bat, making things happen. One play that I loved was the swing from Curiel that kind of snuck off the pitcher's glove, bounces to second baseman, and he runs, and Stanfield just sneaks his way home. And Curiel gets all the way to Sal. I was like, that is.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the smartest base running decision.
No, but it shows the talent and the speed.
Well, and it shows the aggressiveness, and that's what they want to do. You might run into some outs at home, but as long as you constantly put pressure on a defense, I think you'll live with it if that's how you're going to play. It's not a pick and choose your spots. It's ultra aggressive with the guys that we know can run. Right. And Stanfield was fired up to score because he knew it was a risk, but the third base coach was standing him. He didn't do it on his own volition. And so it is a way for LSU to manufacture runs because they're not as reliant on hitting home runs this year. Now you got some. You got one from Milam, you got one from Bear Jones, and this was on the broadcast yesterday, but who leads your team in steals?
Bear.
That would be one Bear Jones.
How about it?
That's kind of like this team and what they want to do in a nutshell of anybody can run, anybody can go. If you get a read off a dirt ball, go steal. And Bear Jones can move. It's not like it's not something that you saw him do last year.
Right.
But it's a product of how this team wants to play it. If Bear Jones feels like you're not going to hold me on and I'm going to get a good read and get a good secondary, I'm going to go.
Right.
And he's also down 2 belts. As the head first slide there's a lot of man hitting the clay.
So one of the things that crossed my mind, and him stealing bases, obviously it's not the speed. I mean, yes, he can move, but it's not the speed. How much of a factor does it play if you're the shortstop or the second baseman trying to cover the bag, and you know that a throwdown's coming and there's a 260-pound bear running at you? Like, how much do you think that's going through the middle infielder's head? Like, to me, it's probably muscle memory just to try to cover the bag.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't think that it is because there's nothing he can do. But yeah, it's definitely certainly a different field.
Like, imagine the corner of your eye, you just see this massive human.
Well, yeah, because whenever they were working on like it was Jake Brown on first, and they were working on whenever they pick off, and it was Jake Brown was on first, and obviously Bear was playing first, and it was like working on getting back to the inside part of the bag without sliding. So if they would bring the tag, you want to hit you kind of like if they try to slap tag you, you can be able to knock the ball out. That's what they were working on. So he kept like intentionally running into Bear Jones, and he was like flexing on him. And so you can see that people notice the size. But yeah, if you're playing short, I don't know if there's a fear factor of like, Jesus Christ, what is he doing? but I'd imagine it's not the same thing as Stanfield stealing second.
Right.
It is a different look, that's for sure.
Of course.
But it's awesome that he wants to take bags and play ball.
No, I love it.
I mean, this is part of it, and maybe it's part of why he came back. Maybe Jay was like, look, show some of your speed off, dude.
Yeah, expand
they don't know if you can run or not. Show them that you got a couple of wheels on you.
Well, and I mean, he's impressed at the plate, in my opinion.
Yeah,
like
he's so patient.
His patience at the plate is, I mean, when you go back and watch his freshman year, the national championship season in 23, where there was really no patience at the plate, because he was just trying to crush baseballs, and you fast forward to now where he is so patient at the plate. He understands the threat he is and how pitchers are going to try to pitch to him. And credit to him, credit to Jay and the staff on just having him prepared, because I think he's grown so much at the plate.
He has 8 walks to 2 strikeouts.
I mean,
and I think the biggest, I guess the best example of his game changing was the bases loaded opportunity to hit a grand slam and walk it off against Omaha in game 2 of game 1 of the doubleheader, game 2 of the series. And you see him swing through 2 off-speed pitches where it looked like there was no doubt in anybody's mind he was going right back to it, same spot, same pitch, because he looked fooled both times.
Right.
And for Bear Jones to adjust and hit a 18 hopper through the shortstop at third base, make an adjustment, 0-2 pitch, and be able to fight your way back and then just hit a single.
Yep.
Score a run and keep yourself alive and keep you in the fight for the merry-go-round to keep going, as opposed to I'm taking 3 daddy hacks and seeing what's going to happen. And if I strike out, I strike out, which I think freshman year he probably does.
Yep.
Sophomore year, maybe not as much. But certainly this year it was shorten up, change your approach, let's keep this thing rolling, as opposed to a momentum killer and a strikeout where everybody and their mother was thinking, the tension was palpable for hit a home run. Do the thing. I'd love to hit a walk-off grand slam too.
Well, then it kind of has set up again last night, where I think LSU's trying to get the run rule. Obviously, it was 10-3 at this point. The bases are loaded. I don't think there were any outs, and Bears at the plate, and everybody's like, okay, well, he's just gonna. Well, then he crushes one. He just shoots it up in the sky. And I mean, Lynn on the call, everybody.
Oh my God!
Everybody at the house thought this ball is gone, out of there. And even the poor center fielder for Nicholls thought that ball was out of there, because he's looking up at it, going to catch it, and it
muffed it.
Whoop! LSU scores 2, and it wasn't a walk-off, but it was just
the call was on it. Lynn
had
set the whole. I mean, if you were a blind man and you were listening to Lynn's call, you were like, "It's a grand slam. It's over." And it was basically the major league fly ball caught, but he doinked it. And that, I don't know who that center fielder was. He was a defensive replacement. It looked like he snuck on the team.
Yeah.
He was wearing some wild sunglasses that aren't sunglasses. He was wearing some goggles. Cleats were fire. And then immediately, what I say, baseball will find you. Bear Jones hit that 4 miles into the sky.
It was unbelievable.
That was not, I could see how you dropped it, because unless you've been there and seen a legitimate big league pop fly, you can lose that thing in the sky pretty quickly. And he had to navigate between going off the track or over the wall, and then he could probably hear Lynn.
Of course.
Because I don't think he needed a microphone. And it was an all-time dial it back. He was setting it up.
Oh, my gosh.
Setting it up. Dropped.
It was because everybody can feel it,
as
Bear walks into
the
box. Yeah, he crushed it. He just shot it up in the sky instead of over the wall. And, I thought it was an out. I'm watching the game, and it happens, and I'm like, oh. And then I see the balls at the guy's feet. And I was like, oh, no. Because then instantly I feel bad for this guy in center field. Because, the game's over. It's not like I'm, upset that it wasn't a,
I wanted to see the grand slam,
of course, me too. But then I feel bad for the center fielder, because now he's kicking the ball around. How about that relay play, Pearson, Milam, Reeves?
That was sex.
Dude.
That was as good as you could draw it up. And Pearson obviously tries to make a play.
Right.
Lays out for one, doesn't get it, but has the wherewithal to be able to get up, get it in, throws an absolute strike to Milam. And Milam, this is where he excels in my mind. Body positioning, he didn't face the cutoff. He was already set up to make a relay throw as opposed to having to turn and throw. And his hands are so fast, and he was so accurate with the throw. This is what I saw last year. This is why I had no problem. That's why I advocated for him to play shortstop. When you can see it, you can see it. And it's so easy for him. and the game just comes to him in a different way where he doesn't even have to think about it. But the alignment, the way to kind of have like a little bit of savvy to you to be like, all right, if he can get this ball to me, I don't have to give him my chest. That's like what the rule is to make it. He's like, I have a veteran in right field. I know he's going to put it on me. So all I have to do is kind of catch it in stride and go. And it was pristine.
It was. Like when you talk about.
And that's why you don't make your last out at third, boys and girls, because it's total momentum killer. If you can score from second, you could probably score from third with 2 outs. And instead he got greedy, tries to get a 3-bagger and gets gunned down, gives LSU momentum back, gets Schmidt out the game, and turn over the lineup, get back to offense. But that was probably the play of the night.
Yes, it was a beautiful play. And it was also good to see Milam get the bat swinging. I mean, got the 3-run monster mash. He had a nice 2 RBI single, I think it was, at the start of the game. And then he had a nice play, a great throw from deep in the 6 hole where I think he like backhands it and he rips a one-hopper to Baird to get him out at first. Kind of showing off the arm a little bit.
Yeah, there was never any concern on my end about what Milam was going to do at short. He's the best one you got, and he will continue to be very good over there.
Yes, and so it was a good win for LSU last night as they're going to take today off, practice, get ready, and then I think that they headed straight to Texas.
Yeah, they said they were leaving last night. That's why they wanted the 10-run rule.
Well, I'm glad they got it. They got roll on over to Texas last night, get ready for Dallas Baptist tomorrow. What time is that at tomorrow, Lloyd? If you have the schedule pulled up.
I do.
LSU versus Dallas Baptist.
Wednesday, February 26th, 7 o'clock.
7 p.m. tomorrow night.
That'll be fun.
LSU versus Dallas Baptist. That'll be a good one. I think a lot of people had this one circled, kind of talking about the start of the season for LSU where you see, Purdue, Fort Wayne, Omaha, nothing too big matchup-wise. Now you've got Dallas Baptist, who is usually a postseason team, a pretty good baseball program, and it'll be a nice test for LSU. And it'll be interesting to see who the pitchers are. Who gets the nod on the bump to start, who gets to come in and perform in this game. I'm excited to watch them tomorrow night. Don't forget, we are currently on both New Orleans.football's YouTube channel and the Jordy Culotta Show YouTube channel. This is the final week that it will be both. Starting next Monday, I think March 3rd, we will be live only from the Jordy Culotta Show YouTube channel. So the daily 7 to 9 show will originate on that channel. We currently have 63 people over there watching. The chat is active over there. So if you want to swap over now, you can. You are welcome to stay here as well. Subscribe to both. Ring the bell for both. But know that on Monday, only on the Culotta Show channel will the live daily show be shown. Obviously, there will still be content that lives here on New Orleans.football, whether it's clips, different playlists, things like that will still work with Nick and have up. But the daily podcast, the daily show from 7 to 9 will only be on the Culotta Show YouTube channel. So we appreciate you guys being in both chats, but just make sure you're prepared on Monday as we will make the shift over and stay solely on that channel. So a good night for LSU baseball last night. Be excited to watch them through the rest of this week and weekend. LSU basketball has a game tonight. We will have John Brady in at 8 a.m. this morning to discuss LSU as they take on Tennessee.
Real quick, before we get to basketball, throwing the hat in the ring for Connor Ware to start.
Oh, I like that.
He's only pitched against Southern. He threw 3 innings against Southern.
Looked good.
Looked great. 2 strikeouts. Faced the minimum. I would not be surprised to see Connor Ware, who has only 3 innings under his belt, get a start against Dallas Baptist. So maybe you see a combination of Ware. And this is kind of what they said you would expect from Connor Ware. If he were to either be that long reliever or the next man up in a starting rotation, it could be either him or Cowan. And I could see Connor Ware just because of Cowan has 5 innings pitched. Connor Ware has 3. I could see, he hasn't pitched in a minute. So it would almost line up to be like a starter's rest in terms of days off and going kind of keeping a rotation on you in terms of schedule. So I could see Connor Ware throwing.
Yeah, I think that's a nice little
Jay
nugget.
loves him.
Yes, and I think this is a real opportunity to really get to see some guys perform in a big-time baseball game So it's going to be nice. It's going to be a nice opportunity for LSU. I did see a write-up on Through the Bengal Tiger from Matthew Brune talking about some injuries that LSU football has recovering from. I didn't quite realize the bug that LSU football had injury-wise. Obviously, you know the couple from last year, whether it's Perk, Guillory, Whit Weeks, guys like that. But some of these transfers coming off of injuries. Kyle Parker was hurt last season. Lloyd, what's your level of concern for the football team as these guys are recovering from these injuries?
Well, I think the first one that everybody thinks of is probably Weeks, right? Like I think it's the last one you saw. And then so my level of concern is not high. It's just the guys that you haven't seen. Like for Nick Anderson, obviously sat out all of last year, but I think that was more of a long play.
Right.
Like I want to keep my eligibility. I don't want to play at Oklahoma anymore. I'm going into the transfer portal, so I'm not going to play. Like Jakeem Jackson, I don't know.
Yep.
Like he start one game that was out the entire year. Like I don't know how many of these guys, the newcomers, are coming over that are quote unquote injured because they had to be in order to sit out. Like a LeBron not playing in the All-Star game, he wasn't hurt.
Anthony Davis's last season with the Pelicans seemed
like
a
you
sitting out for a trade.
So I'm not concerned really about any of these. Like you would expect Jacoby and Guillory to be able to come back. We had him in here. He's already had surgery. He was scooting around in good spirits. Like he's not – there seems to be no setback so far. He's ready to get the boot off, and I think that is where he is time frame-wise. I mean, Perk, it's freak. So
Yes.
It's usually like Adrian Peterson level of regeneration, I would imagine, just because of the type of athlete that he is.
Right.
And you expect if he's 90% of Harold Perkins, I'm good with it. But I think he's going to come back to be 100%. Kyle Parker, I mean, I know how tough he is and how much he wants to play and how much this sucks for him because he was battling injury.
Right.
Kept playing, kept forcing his way like almost into the lineup because you couldn't get Chris Hilton right, and then tears his triceps. So that's a little bit of that's a legitimate injury.
Yes.
That I think is going to take a little bit longer to recover. So I'd hate for him to get lost in the shuffle of things because he's not going to be able to play. But then you have Destin Hill also on this list. And from everything I've heard from Shea, he looks phenomenal. Like, that's his sleeper pick for somebody to make an impact that nobody's really talking about. Former Edna Carr kid. Like, obviously had a weird situation at Florida State where he sat out, I think, 2 years. Played a little bit last year, hits the transfer portal, comes back home to Louisiana. But Shea said he looks phenomenal, like looks every bit the part of being a legitimate, like what he was out of high school, a high 4-star recruit. So if that's the case, that's where you have to feel for Kyle Parker a little bit because you've added
Barry Brown,
Nick Anderson, Dustin Hill. Chris Hilton feels like he's back a smooth 23 miles an hour.
Aaron
Anderson. And all of these things are good things.
Right.
Like, you're loaded offensively.
Yes. Well, and that to me is where and obviously go check the write-up out on 3, the Bengal Tiger from Matthew Brune. But that to me is where, my stress level isn't too high with these injuries is because this is the deepest roster LSU's had under BK. Whether it's the high school classes over the past, this transfer portal class, the retention that they've been able to have. This is such a deep roster. And when you talk about some of these injuries with, whether it's receivers coming back and things like that, there's so many guys that can make an impact. Barry and Brown, Aaron Anderson, Chris Hilton. Those are 3 guys that could very well start. You still got Xavier. You can go down the list. But it is interesting to see the amount of names that are on this injury list. So make sure you go check out that write-up. But I honestly think, depth being the strength of this roster, my level of concern is not too high. I think Perk obviously will recover well, make an impact. Whit Weeks, to me, the Whit Weeks is the one that resonates with me because, from that injury, I don't know are we going to see him in spring football? LSU should be a no rush, have Weeks back spring or the summer.
I don't
make sure you
think
can go for the fall. So that to me is my only kind of, not really concern, but just kind of, okay, like take a step back and think about it, is that you're not going to see Whit until fall camp, really. And now I expect Whit to slide right back in and make it happen and be, just fine. But that's a lot of football that's going to be missed, from spring to summer and then into fall camp, he'll be back. That's kind of just making things work. Where all of spring it's been this group of guys. Well, now Witt's back, throwing him back in, make sure he's comfortable and he's healthy. Kind of, that's a lot of things to juggle. That's my only kind of, I guess, finger on the pulse is how is that going to work out? What? The Witt coming back for fall, missing spring, obviously recovering from that injury, but then getting mixed back in with the guys.
He's been around the team, obviously. You see him giving speeches still and clearly being the leader that you think that he would be. I would not be surprised to see him probably don the 18 this year, which it just feels right. Like you've already seen people make that push, so he's clearly involved with the team still. But I'm not worried about a week's being prepared for war. That's just kind of who he is. He's still, like I said, he's still been around, and he'll be fine.
Well, less of the Witt part, more of the team. I think you're bringing Perk back into the mix. Obviously, that's going to be a process through spring. Well, now you're going to have to do Witt and Perk together in fall, and just
Oh, okay,
is there a level
the
of concern
continuity,
there? Right?
I guess if you wanted to, because you haven't seen it yet. You saw it in spurts, but it was never the focal point of your defense. Which now with bringing Perk back and putting him at star. And seeing how you're going to utilize him, but then see how they play together. Yeah, sure, I could see that. But I think if you put two really talented guitarists together, at some point they're going to make pretty good music. Right. So that's kind of where I sit on it. But yeah, it would be better if they were able to practice together and get a feel and just kind of that energy that it would bring. But I think just because of what Perkins' assignment is and how, I guess, I don't want to say not as involved with the linebacking crew because of what he's doing. It feels like they won't be playing off each other as much as maybe as you think because of how he's going to be utilized in the star, which I think is obviously those two out there on the field together, as long as it's for week one, that's a nightmare scenario for any offense to where that speed everywhere and it doesn't stop. From the front four to your back seven, or LSU's defense should be good, and the second year in the system, you've seen what that can do. Right. For obviously, you've seen how it went the other way
for the offense.
Or I was going to say how with the other way,
the detriment.
I would expect with the amount of talent brought in and brought back, and people being in the system for the second year, and who you have as the coach and who you have on the staff. Right. I expect them to be very good.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I mean, and when it comes to that, this discussion, my trust resides with Blake Baker to take care of business and have this prepared. I think he is obviously worth every penny that LSU spent, and this will probably be his main, one of his biggest assignments is making this work, because these are two integral pieces to your team, and you have to find a way to make sure that it works and works well, because it's going to lead to a lot of wins. So I'm excited to see what they look like in spring camp, but with these injuries, the continuity thing to me is probably the biggest storyline. Is obviously you're getting these transfer guys in. You got high school guys in that are going to come and make an impact. And then now you got to get these guys coming back from injury at different time periods mixed back in. That's a lot of moving pieces. And I don't want to be too, sunshine in my brain looking at the names on this roster and not understanding that this is going to be a lot of things moving and shaking that LSU's got to make sure they take care of. Chili asks, which freshman are you guys excited about the most? Most in all caps. Lloyd? For, I'm assuming, LSU football.
Yeah, for LSU football, give me the low-hanging fruit.
Take it. Pick it?
No.
No?
Harlem. Barry. I think that you would like to see the development of that running back room continue because you know what you have in Caden Durham, but you lose what you really knew what you had in Williams, as he was a mainstay on that LSU offense and somebody that always got better towards the latter half of the season in games that are important. You knew you could count on him, and it felt like he was almost underutilized last year because you were trying to find a run game, and he didn't click early. But then later on, it became like 5.5 yards a carry, 6 yards a carry, but you weren't really handing the football all that often. But whenever he played well, and now you lose that, just whether it be what he did on third down, run blocking, pass blocking, all of the little things. Like he was paramount to what you were
Right.
trying to do offensively and just from a consistent side. And now to have Caden Durham step into that every down back, that's what he's going to be.
Yeah.
So if you don't see the emergence of Caleb Jackson, and I don't even know how much that matters. I think that because of Harlan Berry's skill set, he's going to have plays for him, to where he'll be able to touch the football, whether it be split out
100%.
wide at running back. I'm extremely excited to see how they exploit his ability to kind of change games with one touch of the football. And I do think that's you see the move from Jawan Johnson from running back to quarterback.
Yes.
Obviously they know it, and you have JT Lindsey coming in. I think that'll be interesting. One of these guys is going to get big time, the opportunity to have big time carries. But I think Harlan Berry, regardless if it's he's splitting carries, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's going to play, and I'm just excited to see how they play him, because the more you watch him, the more it's hard to ignore how much he looks like Reggie.
Yes. My guys, I'm going to go with a sneaky one here. Mine's Damian Shanklin. I think that obviously the edge rusher position for LSU is one that's going to be talked about a lot. You're losing a lot of production from that room with, we were talking about Swinson, Savion, Womack obviously hitting the portal. Relaford's your only guy coming back with 50 or more snaps. You've got transfers coming in. I think Shanklin's going to be a stud. And I'm excited to see how much, how many looks he gets early on in the season and how much time he actually gets to go. I'm excited to see him play, and I think he'll be huge for LSU. Don't forget, we're brought to you every day by Katie's Restaurant in New Orleans. Katie's Restaurant in New Orleans, they got cold beer, they got the games on, great service, all the above. And, the tagline for Katie's is a neighborhood restaurant for the entire city. New Orleans can still riding the wave from the Super Bowl and how excellent everything went there. If you're making it through the city, make sure you go hit up Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City or their sister restaurant, Francesca's. We're going to set up Coach John Brady here at 8 a.m. to start off hour number 2 of the Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show right after this.
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by Abears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, Abears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. Abears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. Abears Lawn Maintenance.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college, for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Well, the Oscar Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
Fourier Insurance Agency, established in 1946, helping you with your home, auto, commercial, life and health insurance needs around in Baton Rouge at 4275 Government Street and online at 488agency.com. Whatever insurance you're in the market for, home, auto, commercial, contractors, life, and health, get in touch with 488 Insurance Agency, 488agency.com, or give them a call at 225-383-0682. 488 Agency.
Get Gordon and get it done. Yeah, everybody know Gordon in a 225. He done leave with Big Four. He got buku ties, Ferrari sliding, flying in a new coupe ride. And every time I ride by, I see a brand new sign. I'm a Gordon, I know that he gon' get it done. Whether it's a big truck crash or a hit and run, recovery funds, he fighting to get a ton. Mike Epps, man, we all about the Benjamin. Handling injuries, man, are you kidding me? Gordon McKernan, that's champion energy. Yeah, family man with a family plan. Get Gordon, he gon' fix it like a handyman. Gordon, and get it done.
Welcome to Trifecta.
Trifecta Sports Therapy in Baton Rouge. Recover, repair, restore. At Trifecta, they believe in total body wellness. Trifecta gets the body back to its full potential. Whether you're a youth or pro athlete, a pre or postnatal mom, or if you lead an active lifestyle or a senior citizen, Trifecta has the class, the sports massage, the sports therapist, the stretch therapist, or the equipment like infrared sauna, cold plunges, and golf simulators to find your best. Find Trifecta online at trifectasportstherapy.com or check out the beautiful facility today, 8221 Goodwood. Trifecta Sports Therapy.
Hey, Tiger fans, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit us, Tom and Wright Granning, at Go Mart on the Go Deli.
Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip.
Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on your left.
Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff,
where everyone is family.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Hey, Chino. Cut my headphones up, bro. Yeah, right there.
All right, tonight, LSU men's basketball is back on the court at home in the PMAC against the number 5 ranked Tennessee Volunteers, who are heavy favorites tonight against the Tigers. They're coming off that loss on Saturday against Florida. We've got the coach, John Brady, here join us to preview tonight's matchup and to talk a little bit of LSU's men's basketball with us. Coach, how are you? How's it going?
Going well, guys. How are you guys? Y'all good?
We're doing good. Good to see you. Saturday night, we'll start there. LSU versus Florida. Obviously, it was a fun first half. That 22-2 run, it's like a drug. I mean, watching them go on that run and take the lead the way they did before the half. And then, obviously, Florida just kind of outplayed them there in the second half. What did you see from the Tigers?
Well, I thought, number one, LSU's ability to guard and defend was really good. I thought we kept Florida from getting into a rhythm of play. We made it difficult for them to get open shots. We rebounded the ball even with the Florida team. So we did some nice things on the defensive end. And then on that run you're talking about, we made 5 of 7 3-pointers in the last 7 minutes of the half. And so I thought the only way LSU was going to be able to win was to hold Florida to a lower field goal stat than they'd been shooting, which we did the first half, and then be able to make shots. And you know, we did that the last 7 or 8 minutes of the first half and able to have a 6-point lead. And then, like really good teams do, and by the way, Florida is one of my favorite teams in the country. I think they have, a lot of they need to maybe go to the Final Four and could win it all if they get the right breaks. But Florida came out what good teams do like that. They never get in a hurry. They've got really good guard play. And what they did do, they took advantage of us all game long and throwing the ball inside. And Coach McMahon made the point, when you go 4 small around 1 big, certainly Florida's ability to counter that by throwing the ball inside and attacking the goal was a difference. I think the rebounds were like plus 18 for Florida. And so they were able to establish themselves in a 40-minute game and outscores 20 the second half and kind of win the game comfortably in the last 8-9 minutes.
Yeah, you talk about this small ball lineup, and obviously you were able to see the success it brought in earlier games where they were able to spread out the court and score offensively against Oklahoma and South Carolina. But now kind of seeing the negative side of it where it creates issues defensively when you play against teams like Florida that can pound the ball inside or are going to rebound the way they do. How sustainable do you think this kind of 4-guard, 1 big lineup is for McMahon and LSU?
It depends on matchups. I think it really depends on who the other team is playing and who they're playing in terms of size around the basket, and I think that's the biggest thing. And I think you adjust to that as the game goes along. If you feel like you're getting beat on the board, you need to substitute, put somebody in who can counter that. And I think it's just a feel thing for the head coach. And I think it's certain teams that aren't big around the goal and powerful inside. I think it can be effective as it has been against two other teams in our league that are really on the bottom and don't have any size to speak of like the Florida team. So we'll see how it works against Tennessee tonight. Tennessee's got some size around the goal, and they're one of the better teams in the country. But I think more than anything, it's a good strategy. But certainly if the other team counters that, then the coach has to make a counter also in order to combat what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and one of the things we saw on Saturday was Robert Miller III. Where when LSU went on that run, he came in the game, and I think that, obviously his offensive ability you were able to see. But one of the biggest things he did for LSU was he came in and he defensive rebounded so well during that stretch where before he came in, Florida was getting multiple shots on the rim. He came in, started corralling those rebounds and kind of stopping the drives there. What did you think of the freshman on Saturday?
Well, I think when fans have followed the team, they've seen him get better and improve. The emergence of Robert Miller as an effective player on both ends of the floor, I think I've seen that as the year has gone along. And I think there's a couple of things. He's blessed with a lot of length. He's got a nice touch. I think his aggressiveness needs to improve. His sense of urgency as a player needs to improve. But certainly, I think he's got a nice future if he will be patient with himself and has a good support group that encourages him to stay at LSU this spring and summer, work hard, get in the weight room, be more aggressive, play with more of a sense of urgency, because I think he's got some talent that can really be an effective player in the SEC.
And, Coach, you mentioned retention. I think Robert Miller is very high on that list, along with one Jalen Reed, who there's been a story or a little bit of a story that had come out after his recovery. And obviously McMahon talked about we're excited to have him back after his injury. And now that's kind of been played into, do you think he's coming back to LSU? And obviously McMahon's going to have to answer some of these questions. But how important is it to get a guy like Jalen Reed back, to get Robert Miller back? Like how easy or how much of emphasis is put on the retention of this current class while you still also have to recruit?
Well, yeah, I think that's the most unpredictable thing that a head coach has to deal with now. Even your best player could check out depending on, if he shops himself around for a better financial situation, which, I don't even like talking about that sort of thing. It's just so bizarre to me. I mean, you can't even build a team. You don't even know if your best player's coming back till almost summertime. So it's a difficult thing to juggle. But hopefully, that's why I made the statement. Hopefully, Miller has a good support group that sees what he can be by staying and working hard and committing to LSU. And we'll just see how Reed's knee recovers. I know it was a serious knee injury for him. I think those two guys are important for LSU to keep improving or to improve next year. And everybody knows next year's an important year, for the LSU basketball team to show some significant improvement. And I think getting those two players back, getting Reed healthy, will certainly be a key to that.
And you talk about, the importance of next season. What do you want to see in this final stretch of this season from McMahon and this team to kind of set up, this offseason into next year?
That's a good question. I think what you want to see is a team that continues to compete and play hard. I thought the other night against Florida, the first half, our competitiveness was really good, and I think a team that shows competitiveness, you can really see it on the defensive end and the rebounding. I think that's effort, and as long as the team is giving the right amount of effort, I think there's something to lay your hat on. Now, also, you have to see who we're playing down the stretch. You got Tennessee here tonight. You go to Mississippi State. You go to Kentucky, and you finish with A&M. So that's no walk in the park. So I think what I'd like to see is just the team keep competing, keep doing what they can do, judge it on the defensive end and how they rebound the ball. And hopefully we can score enough points to have an opportunity to win. In our 3 SEC wins, Cam Carter has had great nights. I mean, he won Oklahoma. He scored 27 in our win, Arkansas, 28 against South Carolina. The other night, he didn't reach double figures, and I think that's what these teams down the stretch are going to try to do, is take Cameron out of the game, make it difficult for him to have a good night, and make somebody else on the LSU team beat them on the offensive end.
As a coach, how difficult is it to keep your team competitive and locked in when the wins aren't coming? When you're in league play and you're losing games like 7 straight, like LSU did, how difficult is it as a coach to make sure they're keeping that competitive fire?
Well, I think you have to give them the positives of what they're doing and show them improvement in other ways by the final score, except from the final score. And I think our team has improved in some areas in that way. And I think that's what the head coach has to do. And I think that's what Matt McMahon has done, because I didn't see any quit in the team the other night against Florida. Right. Florida just overpowered us, particularly the last 8 or 9 minutes of the game. But the first half, I think you can hang your hat on, and I think that's what you show your team. If we play this way with this type of energy, and then if we can make some baskets, that's another key. You got to score a few points even though you're defending well. In LSU, I think the last 7 or 8 minutes of the first half, I think that's what I would show the team, improve on that, show them what they can do and they're capable of to keep them playing at the necessary level they need to play to have an opportunity maybe to win a game down the stretch.
I think one of the more paramount things, obviously this isn't the tournament you want to play for going into the year, the NIT, but whenever you look at LSU's schedule, what do you think that they have to do? And is that a realistic goal for LSU to maybe want to get to an NIT tournament? Because there were years where they got in and declined, and now I feel like if they want to keep playing more basketball, the way that the NIT works out, it seems like they do have a legitimate shot to at least play tournament ball.
I would never tell my team when they have an opportunity to keep playing in any tournament that they're not going to play. I don't think that's even on the horizon for this team, but I'm not sure about how the NIT operates. We're 14 and 13, and I think for us to be attractive to the NIT, I think we may have to have a winning record. And with the games on the horizon, it's going to be difficult for us, I think, to have a winning record. But if we could win 1 or 2 of these games down the stretch, get some positive energy, finish 500. Beat some of these teams that are on the schedule down the road, maybe go to the SEC tournament and win a first-round game. I think that would help our cause. But if we stumble down the stretch and we can't get one of these next 4 games to have an opportunity to play 500, I'm not sure if the NIT would think we're worthy or attractive enough to invite us.
And looking forward to tonight as LSU takes on Tennessee in the PMAC. What do you expect from the Volunteers and expect to see from the Tigers as they respond to Tennessee?
We're going to face in Tennessee is one of the best defensive teams in the country. I have a lot of respect for Rick Barnes. We've played each other 4 or 5 times in my career. I know his team's well prepared. They shoot 45% from the floor as a team. They only give up 37%. They also only give up 27% from the three. So this is one of the best defensive teams that we've seen. They average 75 points a game. They give up 60, 61. So this is a team that's well put together. They only turn it over 10.7 times a game. They out-rebound their opponents by +6. So there's not a lot of weaknesses in this Tennessee team. So I think we're going to have to defend really well. I don't think we can get in an up and down game where the score's in the 80s or low 90s. I think that will favor the Tennessee team because I think they just have better players up and down the roster. I think we have to really shoot the ball well and duplicate our play like we did the last 8 or 9 minutes of the first half against Florida. I think that's the key to us. I think we have to win the field goal stat, and I really think we have to defend and rebound it at least even for the course of the 40-minute game to have an opportunity to make it a 5-minute game at the end.
Well, Coach, best of luck on the call tonight. We appreciate you making some time for us this morning and talking some LSU basketball. And you have a good one.
You got it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Coach. Yeah, it's going to be a big one for LSU tonight. Tennessee's obviously top 5 team in the country, and they
have to outlast Oklahoma to make the
the NIT.
NIT. So that turns out to be a pretty big win.
Yeah, no, obviously that was a huge win, and I think the NIT would be good for this team. Obviously they're going to want to continue to play more basketball. The way the NIT went last year, where I think they lost in their first game against North Texas.
They did.
Then weren't able to make it very far. I think this team is more talented, and so I would be excited to see them back in kind of a non-conference atmosphere because they played so well in the non-conference this season.
Mm-hmm.
I think the NIT would be awesome for them, and especially for Matt McMahon. As we talked about with Coach, creating momentum into the offseason into the next year. That's exactly what the NIT can do. You get back into a non-conference style matchup where you're not playing against the gauntlet that is the SEC, and you get some wins, you get some momentum, you create some excitement, some good things to happen as you go into the offseason into next year. That's what the NIT can do. So I would love to see if LSU gets invited and goes in there.
That's a good point because you kind of get lost in the sauce a little bit of the SEC playing with this team.
Right.
But if you rewind to the beginning of the year, there's a reason people were excited because you were, out-athleting teams, you were running the floor,
right.
But that was it goes to show that it's a testament to the SEC. But if you take LSU out the SEC, there's legitimate firepower still there, and especially with kind of what they found in Robert Miller and then having having to run with 4 guards. I think that's almost that makes it more fun in my mind just because of the style of the style of play and the style of basketball. But I do think that there's something there to keep, if anything, this is the dark side of it all, but to keep them on the roster and away from other people. To go on an NIT run to where they have to stay on the team and they can't talk to other coaches. And John was right when he talks about a support system and having people in place to where this all doesn't feel very new to them or they don't know which way they're getting pulled and they don't have any direction.
Right.
You need people in place that are look, this is how it's set up and these are your deals that you're going to get. But you need a support system so you don't end up getting jerked around and going to visit 3 different schools and you don't really know what deal you've got and who your agent is and all of those things because that's where the dirty side of this is. I don't really know. But they're trying to fix NIL, apparently. I don't know if you've seen the news by Ross Dellinger.
I did not see
There is a system being put in place where there would be harsh penalties for if you try to overextend a player over their fair market value.
Wow.
So, and Brian Kelly was interviewed with that. I don't know how Delly always gets in with LSU coaches, but that seems to be the case.
I'm interested. Fair market value.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, does it say anything on how that's calculated?
That would be the third party. I think it's Deloitte.
Okay.
That is going to, establish what their value is.
Interesting.
And the example I heard was you can't get paid $500,000 for an appearance for one day at insert X business. It's like, my mind is, who determines fair market value other than the market? Like,
right.
if somebody's willing to pay you for that, that's how this whole thing started in the beginning.
Yes.
Was you can't decide. It was amateurism.
Who am I to judge?
Right. If you want to pay $1 million for a painting that's made with Hunter Biden shit, you're more than welcome to. Like, that's the market value that you've set for it. Not to say there's other bids on it. They might be less than $1. But if somebody's willing to pay you, that is your market value. Now, fair market value, I don't see how you can determine that, but that's apparently what they're trying to do. The new power conference-led enforcement entity, an LLC with a yet-to-be-named CEO, is poised to implement significant penalties for those violating a variety of revenue share-related rules, including a restriction in the number of transfers the program can add, millions in financial fines, a reduction in the team's future rev share pool, and multiple game suspensions for coaches. Brian Kelly is quoted as saying, "There will be real enforcement." In an interview with Yahoo last week, it will be an across-the-board, consistent power conference enforcement with severe sanctions. They will be quick. They will be swift. I think everybody is on board with that. So it does feel like that at least it is something. But will any of this actually be policed? That is hard to figure out. But as Brian Kelly continues, if any of this will be policed, quote, "suspensions are on the table, fines. It is not a slap on the wrist." That was made clear, Kelly said to Yahoo Sports from an interview from his office on Thursday. But the landmark House Settlement Agreement, which is the revenue share, schools will be permitted to share $20.5 million in revenue annually with athletes under a cap system with built-in escalators. The revenue sharing concept is expected to begin July 1st if the settlement is approved this spring. A final hearing is scheduled for April 7th. So this is basically to get rid of the collective part of all of this, which we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, to me, you just kind of have to see how it's going to pan out, how it works out. Because there's obviously needs to be some sort of control on this situation. Because NIL has completely blown up and turned into something I'm not sure the NCAA or anyone thought it was going to turn into, which surprises me because this is exactly what, the Wild Wild West is what we called it, and that's what it's become. Something needs to happen. But I'm going to be interested to see how this really works, because I would assume there will be pushback against Deloitte where someone will say, well, who are you to decide what my value is? And that'll go to court or whatever. And like Wolfgang says, that who's going to monitor that the money's paid in cash and all, Andrew Messina, do we really think the NCAA is competent enough to do what is said in that article?
Right. The article continues as you get to some of the brass tacks of all of this. Separately, administrators are finalizing deals related to the new Deloitte-run clearinghouse tasked with evaluating name, image, and likeness, compensation that athletes receive from third-party entities such as brands, businesses, and also boosters. Athletes must submit to the clearinghouse all third-party deals of $600 or more. Like, good luck.
Wow.
Those deals that are deemed to be struck with the school-affiliated entity, NIL collective, school marketing arm, booster-owned business, school foundation, multimedia rights partner, etc., will undergo more scrutiny as part of Deloitte's fair market value analysis. All payments made to athletes after June are expected to be subject to the new clearinghouse. Like, this just seems like it's a disaster.
I mean, an absolute
Deloitte
mess.
is using thousands of previously struck NIL deals of college and NFL players and developing a compensation range to determine if deals are authentic. Deloitte is expected to approve or disapprove deals in as little as 1 day. And, in a plan under discussion, athletes can resubmit rejected deals at least once, with alterations suggested by the clearinghouse. For example, if Deloitte deems a submitted $100,000 deal between an athlete and third party to actually be valued at $50,000, the player can alter the deal to align with the clearinghouse's suggested fair market value. So, that is how you're basically negotiating against yourself.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was going to say on paper it sounds like it's going to work, but it doesn't. It doesn't even sound like it's going to work on paper. Like, I would be very surprised to see this regulate. Carl Dunn makes a good point. He says they're trying to put the cows back in the barn.
Yeah.
It's too late. Like
and this is one way to get it, I guess, if you do want it to work, this is one way to get. There's a reason Brian Kelly is on board with this, or it seems like he thinks it's a fair process because of how he has handled this entire thing of he's been doing fair market value the entire time.
Right.
Where he's been evaluating of what he deems fair market value in the sense of what am I getting for pay for play.
Right.
In terms of, so now he's been trying, I guess, in a sense, using this model already. So that's why I would imagine he doesn't feel out of position speaking on this because this is how LSU's been doing deals, and that's why you were missing out on kids. And also, Brian Kelly's the one that's probably been spurned by name, image, and likeness the most by whatever deal Bryce Underwood got. And that's why I would spearhead this thing too if I were him. But like you said, trying to put the cows back in the barn, that's a tough task. But it does feel like the way that they're going about this is they're almost they're forming a coup against the players again.
Right.
Where like of course the coaches are going to be on board, the schools are going to be on board because we don't want it to be the free market that it has been. And at some point you do have to have some regulation. This is the first step in trying to regulate it. But I am interested to see how much of this gets reported as fired back on.
Right.
Like if you're going to send me $500,000 and I say, no, it's $50,000, it's like, well, what's the middle ground here?
Right.
Like, because it's not just going to be as easy as $100,000. No, I think it's 50. It's like, okay, that's fine with me.
Yeah, no.
Like,
it's going to get messy.
Right, because after you say it's a $100,000 deal, but you'll allow 50 of it, you don't think that there's going to be a way to find that other 50 somewhere?
Right. I mean, like do we not remember what college football was and college sports before NIL? The money was still
the tunnels
being
are still
paid.
there.
When you talk about like the Penguin, remember the show The Penguin?
Yes.
Where he went and he works in the train in the old subway tunnels, whatever they are. That all of that is still
That's
there.
what I'm saying. The tunnels
the
are still
infrastructure is still in place.
Yeah, very much in place. And there's
I still got the McDonald's bag sitting in the cabinet.
Exactly.
I can drop it off at whoever's door I want. To me, it's like Carl Dunn said, it's almost too late to solve any of this. I like that they're moving in the direction to try and fix it because there need to be regulations on it. But I'm hard pressed to find out how they can ever get it back in order.
Yeah, I mean they're saying this in the Culotta show chat, and it's Saberon. You got to check Kelly Blue Book to see your value. Like that. I mean, it's literally what it is. Evo, some third party can't calculate what your value is. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. It's exactly what I'm saying. Like you're worth whatever you think that you're willing to pay. People are willing to pay that much amount, like that single dollar for you. That's what your market has been deemed. You can't change that. That's on
them. That's on the person paying the money. Like who are you to tell that business?
That's like what antitrust is.
Right.
It's in the law.
And Glimmer agrees with you. Give the NCAA the chance. They'll undoubtedly squash the money being made by the players.
All right. This is their way back in. So it'll be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out because this is the first iteration of trying to at least get one cow into the barn.
Which I'm fine with because it does need to happen.
And And then Kenny Balalas is like, they should have done this in the first place. And then you wouldn't have this conversation. Like, if you had agreed to some sort of infrastructure and ruling, I think that the NCAA said, fine, you all deal with it.
Right.
Like, look, this isn't as easy as you may think it is, and wash their hands of everything. And now you're starting to see, like, okay, they need some form of regulation. I don't know how much the NCAA is involved in this now that it's Deloitte and a third party who is more of a figurehead for NIL. And, like, that's what they do their business in.
Right.
And so it's a company that does understand the market value, quote unquote, in their minds, but that was before you didn't care what they were getting paid. You weren't trying to negotiate. You were just trying to do NIL deals. You don't care what other people paid.
Right. Well, when Seville says that they need to set a cap and put the cap at $1 million, I think even if you put a cap on it, the under the table deals are still going to happen.
Right. The cap is $20.6 million right now.
Right.
That's what this, or $20.5 million for the revenue sharing. That's how that's supposed to operate. But there are still going to be deals where you're able to capitalize on your name, image, and likeness outside of revenue sharing. That's the point of name, image, and likeness.
Right.
But now you're trying to cap name, image, and likeness by saying, I don't think you're worth that much money. I think you're worth this much money. And it's the same thing with like the On3 NIL evaluation calculator. It's like you don't know what.
Yeah,
it's just this is what I think they're worth.
The part to me
you don't know
where it gets messy is I'm a regular, like if I was still a student at LSU, I'm just a regular student, and if Nike wants to come in, if I blow up on social media and somebody wants to make a brand deal with me, they can come in and offer me however much they want. There's nobody deciding if I am worth that amount of money or not.
Right.
But my friend, that's a football player if someone comes in and offers him the same deal because of the same things, now the NCAA can come in and deny it because he's not worth that. That's where the NIL, the whole thing started, was who are you to decide how much I'm worth when there's nobody deciding one of my peers that's the same thing, so that's where it gets messy. And I really don't know how they can fix it at this point. They've let it get so far downstream that how are you going to get it back?
Yeah,
how are you going to reel it back in?
Well, this is the you have to take. This is one of the times to take the opportunity because there's being change. So whenever there is massive change in the sport, it makes sense to try to reevaluate everything. But maybe this goes over smoothly and the people all comply because, like I said, they are stacking the deck against the players at this point, where it's coaches are going to be on board, the university is going to be on board,
right. And
at that point, who's really fighting for you? Because I'd imagine from a coach's perspective, you would like some semblance of stability.
Right.
Because the same thing that John Brady was just talking about. I didn't want to get into it with him about this because you could tell he's
he hates it.
I get it out of here. I hate it. But this is something that I would love to get a coach's perspective on because it feels like this is a win for them. If you're able to, your roster can't get poached nearly as easily.
Well, it's a win for everybody besides the players.
Right.
If you're a coach, if you're the school, if you're, I guess, a fan somewhat, if you're the business owner that's cutting the deals, well, you're not getting asked for much more money anymore.
Right, because I don't know if just because of the way that this was pitched or the example given, I doubt very seriously there's going to be a deal where they offered $50,000, they said no, you're worth $100,000.
No, ever.
Right.
I don't think that will ever happen. Oh no, they're lowballing you.
Right. That's where I think.
I think every single time an offer comes through, they're going to cut it.
Yeah.
Every time. Regardless of if it's
true or not.
It's accurate or not, they're going to cut it.
Yeah.
Every time.
Doge.
Yeah, 100%. And so it's just it's going to get messier, which I didn't think it could. But this is going to cause a lot of backlash, pushback, all of the above, where players, agents, because now you got all these people involved.
Yeah.
You've got players, you've got parents, you've got agents, you've got
Deloitte.
lawyers, you've got third parties, you've got the NCAA and what's left of it. You've got the conferences and how powerful they are now. This is just going to turn into a cluster.
And
more than it already is.
Yeah, to continue on this, just because I could keep reading about it.
Right.
For the third-party deals, and this is obviously this is the part where they're trying to get rid of the collective, but the collectives are still around and have boosted their own businesses, whatever. Deloitte is using thousands of previously struck NIL deals of college and NFL players and developing the compensation range. We did the example, and Kelly says this is a fair process. Deloitte has thousands of NIL deals from the smallest of deals, like representing a health club, to national Powerade commercials with ranges of compensation for all. Deals that are rejected for a second time are referred to the CEO, which is yet to be named, and enforcement staff, and are then processed through an appeals system via court-overseen arbitration. Athletes will remain eligible until their case is seen through arbitration. Arbitration rulings are expected within 45 days, according to the settlement. Athletes who lose arbitration cases and still accept compensation in the rejected deal are deemed ineligible. Coaches are embracing these new rules, Kelly said. We've been living in a world with no rules, and the enforcement has been slow and inconsistent, Key continued. More than anything else, as a coach, we live by rules. We're not going to get what we asked for, end quote.
The enforcement staff. I don't know why that stuck in my just the way that it's named.
The way that all of it is phrased and structured feels very much like it's private school.
It sounds like the what was that thing, the FBI type thing that was looking at LSU. What were they called?
Oh yeah, they've been disbanded since. But
whatever. I forgot what the name was, but that's what enforcement staff reminded me of.
They just rebuilt the NCAA and gave it a different name.
And they named it Deloitte.
Right.
The yet to be named CEO, who is it, Mark Emmert?
Yeah, probably.
That's, to me, if that I tell you what, if they name the CEO and it's Mark Emmert, or what's it's just the NCAA all over again,
I wouldn't be shocked.
Man.
But look, obviously Kelly is on board. He's the face of this entire thing when it comes to.
I get why the coaches will be on board. I mean, because look at how Kelly's been set up. He's got this recruiting all-star staff where the way they've lost recruitments is because of money that's been paid from elsewhere. Well, if you can put a cap on that, I'm going to have the best roster every year.
Yeah, that's where it's a good thing for LSU.
Yeah, I would love it if I'm LSU.
Yeah,
I just don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, because this, I can't wait for the first athlete to lose his or her arbitration case, and you're ineligible. And like, coach probably like, I'm playing you.
Yeah, like
somebody will
tell
do
me.
Yeah,
like who are you to tell me I can't play this guy because his NIL deal got rejected? I can't play him now. Like,
and if he does play for those 45 days and they win, and then he's deemed ineligible, do those wins, are they vacated now?
Like, to me, that is so much power given back to the NCAA, essentially, that they do not deserve. Because imagine, like, they just don't like your coach. And so your quarterback gets offered a $100,000 deal. They want to cut it to $50,000. So you offer back $75,000. They deny it a second time. Now your quarterback's ineligible?
Right.
Just because you don't like him? Like it's they can get back to this.
I mean, it can just be a fundamental disagreement of what I think. No, I think this is a fair deal. Like, well, we don't.
And now he can't play. And it's giving them power to be human and say, well, I don't like the way Brian Kelly talks. I want to make his quarterback ineligible. I'm going to deny this deal every time they come to my doorstep.
Yeah, because there will be, like, I don't want to say serial offenders, but there will be people that are arbitrated more than others. Where it's like, again, with this. And, yeah, the human element does come into play. But, I mean, that's where I'm stuck on is if, okay, so it's $100,000, you cut it to $50,000, and you go back to the table and be like, let's go $75,000, and they say no. And so can I still pay him the $50,000?
Deal gone, player ineligible.
Right.
Like, is that how it works?
Because I think what they're, like, obviously what I get from this is if you do still pay them the $100,000, that's where they're ineligible. But if I paid them the $50,000, are we all good? Like what you said before, can we go back like to the previous ruling?
Or is that offer off the table because I came back with $75,000?
But it's
so much power.
Yeah, and even if you do, like you avoid, like you don't listen or abide by the arbitration rules, like the 45 days you're going to play, but that's a month and a half.
Right.
There's going to be some football games, basketball games, baseball games played, and during this arbitration period, if they play and your player is deemed ineligible, but he played those 45 days, what do you do with it? Like, you don't think that's going to impact the college football playoff? It's a quarterback?
Right. A month and a half of LSU's football schedule is. So we're going to start on, what, you want to start on August 30th?
Sure.
A month and a half would be, we'll start on September 27th. So say a player, this happens, they go ineligible for 45 days on September 27th. So they would lose, that would be the Ole Miss game, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, A&M, Alabama, maybe Arkansas. So, I mean, essentially, that's Ole Miss, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, A&M, Alabama. That's 5 SEC games from September 27th to October 25th. To November 8th.
Healthy scratch.
What? This is going to be a mess. A mess. Deloitte. Unnamed CEO, enforcement team, bomb squad.
All of it.
Firing squad.
All of it.
Just what a mess.
IRS, come audit me.
I don't know how it's going to work. But I'm be interested to see. It's going to be fun to talk about because there's going to be a lot of storylines popping up out of this where players are ineligible and money gets because I like I said, something has to happen to solve this issue, to fix NIL, but it might just be too far gone, and I don't think recreating the NCAA is the correct solution. But we'll see. We'll see how it works out. We're going to take a quick break.
I'm just reading the chat.
No, yeah, you're good. I want to set up the Weddle, the daily Weddle, to close us out this morning.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're going to take a quick break, get this second thing of ads rolling through. We're going to set up the Weddle, and we're going to close it out with a nice little online game with the chat this morning.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Click Here Digital, the home of the Jordy Culotta Show. Online at clickheredigital.com. If you're looking to set Google ads, set social media campaigns, learn about SEO, display video, or even creative, Click Here Digital has the answer for you. Online at clickheredigital.com or email me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com.
Family calls family. That saying resonates even more as your family grows. And we can't seem to stop growing. Meet the newest member of the Get Gordon family, Penny's cousin Rosie. Rosie already knows, the larger your family, the more people you have to lift you up during trying times. Just like at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, we've grown to over 200 team members with over 50 local attorneys. So whether you pick Penny, employ Ellie, roll with Rosie, or Get Gordon, we want to be your lawyers for life.
Your lawyers for life.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
It's rare to find someone you can count on when it's go time. It's even more rare to find someone you can count on, well, all the time. At Sunshine, we're proud to offer the John Deere equipment you need and the team can depend on and off the field. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Can't let you fold up, keep pushing, can't let you slow up, bounce back, can't let you fold up, keep pushing, can't let you slow up, bounce back, can't let you fold up, keep pushing, can't let you slow up, bounce back, can't let you fold up, keep pushing, can't let you slow up. They say that life's a marathon, man, shout out to Nip. They start to think you falling off and they starting to flip. Circumstances start to change and they jump in the ship. Only ones that really matter, who's tied to your hip. They tried to push you to the side cause they thought you would quit. May bend but never break, your cloth is legit. When you return in rare form, they all gonna be sick. You ever seen a living legend, just know that I'm it. Slow grind like IT, just know that I'm it. Now I'm back up in my bag, I'm giving them fits. Bounce the bat like John Morant, you know that I'm lit. Making plays like Jack Bash, I'm never gonna sit. Had to be patient, so I waited for the situation. Now that I'm focused, I'ma take it with no hesitation. The hard times that I had.
All right, so before we get into this Weddle, another little tidbit of news. LSU may have a way to help players earn more money than the Tigers would be able to pay them. Instead of using the NIL collective, LSU has joined a program started by Playfly Sports, longtime multimedia rights partner, designed to find NIL deals. The future of booster collectives is unclear, with revenue sharing expected to begin this summer, and officials think the initiative, NILSU Max, will provide a legal way for athletes to earn more than the schools can give them. So now with the revenue sharing coming in, collectives only know what's going to happen, if that's going to still stick around. Obviously, with this ruling we were just talking about before and the way things are going to work, who knows what's next with collectives. LSU has started and joined a program with Playfly Sports that's going to kind of go out and, I guess, search for deals.
Yeah, it's going to search for deals like, I guess, like the collective was doing,
right,
or like a collective was doing. And it's allowing, so on top of the $20.5 million that the revenue is bringing in, you now have LSU kind of double dipping for you by finding you NIL deals. So Clay Harris is quoted in this: "We feel at LSU we have a competitive advantage with other schools because of a brand and who we are. We're trying to capitalize on that to go over and beyond the $20.5 million per year the right way." The athletic department received approval to move forward Friday with the LSU Board of Supervisors approved an amended contract between the school and Playfly through 2032, revealing one of the first signs of what LSU strategy will be in the revenue sharing era. The deal begins July 1st, the same day the settlement would take effect nationwide. Baylor and Penn State also joined the Playfly Max program last year. Our work together through the Playfly Max platform will provide robust personnel support on campus to help LSU student-athletes maximize NIL opportunities, Playfly Sports Properties President Christy Hedgepeth said. So it is a very much – this is kind of what it feels like LSU knew that they were going to do all along.
Right.
Whenever they kept talking about revenue sharing and how they're going to be in a very good spot and how they were able to compensate maybe with the revenue sharing. Like they mentioned revenue sharing so many different times.
Right.
And like it's on the horizon. We have a plan in place, and this is I think what they were talking about, not just the $20 million that revenue sharing is giving you, but the ability to capitalize on more than the $20.5 million. So that's where I think LSU, because have you seen what Penn State's doing? They're going all in on college football, and they're finally spending, and I think it's because they have set up this pathway with Playfly Sports to be able to maybe find different avenues for NIL deals that they didn't have before. So,
there's another nice little interesting piece of this. Playfly will also search for companies that would buy jersey patches and on-field advertisements at LSU. The NCAA began allowing advertisements on playing surface last year, and Cox has a logo on the floor of LSU basketball games this season. Harris said LSU is not too far in the distant future from placing sponsor logos on the field at Tiger Stadium and Alex Box.
I think people wouldn't mind that. I mean, except if it looks like Arkansas's field, that looks ridiculous.
Yeah, Arkansas's field looks
just slutting it out.
Yeah, just like.
But I think people would get mad about the patches for a hot minute.
100%. The patches would cause and they go on to say, jersey patches are still prohibited under NCAA rules. LSU has been exploring options as discussions continue. A jersey patch is one of the most valuable sponsorship assets that LSU will ever have to sell. So you technically cannot go sell that right now, but over the past 6 months, we have done our due diligence and valued out what that might cost. Whenever we get the green light, we're prepared to take that to the market because it's a major opportunity for revenue for our athletic department. Yeah, I mean, LSU is going to make a lot of money off of that, but that's going to cause some uproar. I tell you what.
Oh, my God.
When you see a logo, a brand logo on the shoulder of a LSU football jersey, I mean, they don't even want you to wear the purple one.
Yeah, they don't.
Much less put a logo on it.
Yeah, they don't even like the uniforms that they have or whenever they're picked. So I can't imagine if you actually did a change to the uniform.
Right. No, I do see. I mean, the revenue made off of it will be immense.
You say that, but it almost could backfire because of how people would view your business and brand and be like,
you ruined the LSU uniform.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. That's a good point. That's a good point.
But also, I'd love to see the revenue come into LSU.
That would be nice. I mean, the on-field ones, I don't think people would get as upset about. I mean, because the people hadn't said anything about the Cox on the
I didn't even notice.
Cox Communications on the court.
Cox on the hardwood? Yeah. No, I mean, but that's what basketball. I'm so used to it.
Right,
I've seen it forever.
Yeah, in the NBA,
baseball, where would you put it? I don't know what you would do.
I guess you put it down the baseline.
Yeah, I don't think that would bother anybody either.
I don't care.
But
they got it all on the walls already.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
But if you put something on the jersey, I think that would be.
Yeah, the jersey would be. That would cause a little bit of uproar. I agree. CVO says, "Well, yep, nope, we caught it.
Yeah,
we caught it."
What?
Glimmer says, "Oh, the uniform purists will eat that up." I'm talking to you, Jordy. He would be in an uproar. It would be. Detrimental.
Oh, I mean, might come back.
It would. I think it would. He would definitely get a phone call.
I'm trying to think of who would be the most up in arms about this. I guess Hunt Palmer. Like, those are the purists of the sport.
Right.
I don't know what.
Jordy would get up in arms about it.
Yeah.
100%. He would definitely call and say, you know what, guys, is it all right if I slide in just for like the first hour?
I've got some takes.
Get this off my chest.
But speaking of sponsorships, we have a new sponsorship.
Yes. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. Roback.
We will take that patch.
Yes. Roback. We've got a little partnership with Roback. There is a coupon code, 20% off of your order if you use code TIGERS, TIGERS. So go to Roback, look at all their stuff, but their LSU collection is excellent. So make sure you're ready to be decked out in Roback for baseball season as it gets rolling. Get 20% off your order if you use code TIGERS, TIGERS, at Roback. That is our promo code here. So make sure, go hit it up, use that code. You get 20% off with a first-time email. Do with that as you wish, obviously. Use your brain power to understand that even though I think it's just a one-time code with your email, it's with a first-time use of the email, and emails are emails. So put it together. But 20% TIGERS with Roback. They've got great stuff. I mean, the collared shirts, the quarter zips, the pants, the pullovers, the whole deal.
This is your game day fit.
I mean, you're going to make sure you're ready for when SEC baseball gets rolling. Step up in the box wearing some of this.
Yeah, this is elite stuff, and it doesn't have to be the LSU polos, but they do have a great selection of LSU apparel, whether it be polos, but you can go anything from polos, joggers, shorts, hoodies, anything that you'd like to get comfortable with.
Come on.
But this is just an example of the Death Valley collection from our good friends over at Roback. That's fire.
That is fire. TIGERS. I love Sailor Mike. I think that's my favorite logo.
These are great golf shirts, too.
It is excellent. TIGERS, 20% off. All right, we're going to close out here this morning with a little bit of Weddle, as they've kind of stumped us the last two games.
Hey, you play it enough.
It'll start to get to you. Shout out to the chat yesterday and Friday as they got us to the finish line. We're going to get it rocking and rolling here this morning. Who is our first name to throw in the mix?
Let's see if anybody suggested any.
I don't think anything just yet. Let's see. We'll start with. Let's go with Jonathan Mingo.
Okay.
Wide receiver for the Panthers.
Maybe it's good to start with some. Oh, keyboard enabled.
Mingo.
So you could go 1 for 1 right now.
Good. I'm trying to go random. So we are wide receiver again. Older than 23 in the AFC. A higher number. Oh, Mingo's is on the Cowboys now. I thought he was with the Panthers. So higher.
He got
than
traded in the middle of the year.
He did. Okay. Oh yeah, I remember. That was Jerry Jones' big move.
Mm-hmm. I don't think he registered a catch.
Nope. So shorter than 6'2", number higher than 81 in the AFC. Let's go. God, we're in the AFC again. I know the NFC so much better than I know the AFC. It's unbelievable. Because when I think of AFC, all I can think of is the Bengals. It's my lone AFC team.
Bills?
The Bills, yeah, the Bills. What are the Bills' wide receivers? The number is what throwing me off. Everybody has low wide receiver numbers now.
Oh, I didn't even look at it.
Everybody's like 13 and 11 and
I was
4
chatting.
and.
Hold on. Let me get a set up here.
Because like Keon Coleman's the first wide receiver to pop in my head, but he's number 0. So he's going to be.
So it's over 81 at wide receiver.
Yep.
Who's like 80?
Ocho Cinco.
I think like Montgomery. I'm trying to get.
AFC. Who are the AFC playoff teams? The Ravens. There was Zay Flowers, low number. Let's see if anybody's in the chat.
Hold on. I'm just trying to get the old.
Lad McConkey would be a good one, but he's number 15, so that's not high enough.
Who's 88?
88.
CD Lamb? Oh, it would have been Dallas.
Yeah. God, this is tough.
It's not. We just need to start guessing.
Yeah, we just need to do something. So just do Lad McConkey just to at least see if we can get some more.
What about David Montgomery?
He's a running back in the NFC.
Oh. What Montgomery am I thinking of? Plays for the Saints.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're thinking about. He was the he was the running back that wore 88.
DJ went to Stanford?
Yep.
Fumbled.
Yep.
Adam Thielen.
NFC.
Over 81, though?
Nope.
No, he
19.
went to 88 with 19. It's going down the list here.
Yep.
Let's see.
Somebody said Juju. Juju's number 9, so it needs to be 81 plus.
Brandon Cooks.
He's got a low number. Who? Let's see.
Brock Bowers. A tight end.
19. Who the Browns have? Jerry Jeudy, low number.
What about old buddy Amari Cooper?
He's on the Bills. I think he's 19, though. We can try it. Maybe he's 18.
I thought he had a high number.
Ooh, Matthew Cole got to go to Marvin Mims for the Broncos.
Oh, yeah.
He's 81, I think.
That might be a winner. Oh.
Ooh, that was a good one. He's 19. Oh, I thought he was higher than that for some reason. Okay, so AFC West, not. So it's 6 foot, 6'1". Older than 23.
Jersey number is what's getting us.
Not the Broncos, not the AFC West. So now we need to move to the AFC North.
AFC North.
That's the Steelers, Bengals, Ravens, and Browns.
Who's old buddy that for the Ravens? Perryman, what number is he?
Denzel Perryman? I think that's a defensive player.
No, Brashad Perryman.
Oh, I don't know. Put the name in there. Io Savas, I think he's young for the Bengals, though.
Yeah, he's younger, right?
Yeah. Jermaine Burton, he's young.
Yeah, I think he got cut.
What if he'd even be in the game? Burton.
How is Perryman not in the game?
I don't know.
So we're going AFC North. Steelers.
Who do the Steelers have at receiver?
They have George Pickens.
Yep. And that's the only one I know. We can go Tyler Boyd again. We tried him yesterday, the Titans wide receiver. He was number 83. He's older.
What team is he on now?
The Titans.
Oh, it could be AFC South.
Yep. Tyler Boyd. Okay. Younger than 30.
It got to be 88.
So it's 84 or 85, I think, because it's yellow. It's not the AFC South. So AFC East and North, 84, 85.
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver. Shoot.
We keep getting in the AFC North.
I mean, I know the Browns tight end Njoku is 85, but that's a tight end, not a wide receiver.
Who did the Browns throw it to?
Jerry Jeudy. He's number 3.
I feel like I would know more Browns because of the... We should know these players because of the Hard Knocks.
Right. And the Bengals receivers... I don't know. This is tough. Let's just go with let's do Jermaine Burton just to at least see if it's the AFC North. If he's in here. He's not.
Rashad Bateman.
That'd be a good one. But he's got a low number. So it's the AFC East. Who's in the AFC East?
Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Pats.
Okay. Patriots. What about Bourne? Kendrick Bourne? Bourne.
Good pull. Kayshawn. Yeah! I was stuck on the AFC North.
That's great. That feels good.
We were down to the wire.
I thought we were really,
Yeah,
really
that was an honest effort.
No, that was good. How many did we get? That was 5. Okay, it's not our best, but I mean,
well, just nice to get a win without the chat. Thank you, chat.
That felt good.
Justin Watson, T. Higgins, Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, Patriots wide receiver born. There you go. Quave is awesome at this.
Quave had it?
Yeah.
Good job, Quave.
I did at the same time. You just sent it in.
Nice. Me and you we're connected, Quave.
Yeah, I'm no good at this game.
Job. This is a tough one. We're much better at the grid than we are at the Riddle. The grid. We're good at that one. So we appreciate you guys this morning. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 7 to 9. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we should have Jacques and Nick Underhill as guests tomorrow. So come join us as we chit-chat with Jacques about who knows what, LSU everything. And we get some New Orleans Saints updates from Nick Underhill from NewOrleans.football. We'll be back. We'll talk to you then.
Oh, wow.
What?
We might have it.
Can
you name where these NFL players went to college?
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, yeah. We'll save that.
Yeah, we're going to keep that in the back pocket.
That's it.
Keep that in the back pocket.
Yeah, I'll get drunk and do it at home.
Nice. We appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. I'll FaceTime you.
Yeah. Ooga booga.